Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So, what does food mean to you? Well, join me this week. All month of September, we are doing back to school, back to work, and inspirational topics. And today, I will be joined by two really inspiring guests. One is Federico Marchetti, and he is known as the Geek of Chic. So stay tuned for that interview and you'll find out why. From a modest upbringing in Ravenna, Italy, to rubbing shoulders with royalty and fashion's elite, Federico's journey is anything but ordinary. He's blended Silicon Valley grit with Italian sophistication, proving that style and substance can and should coexist. In this episode, we will explore the sliding doors of his life, the fashion myths he shattered, and the sustainable future he's helping shape. So whether you're listening from a sunlit kitchen in Tuscany or a bustling city cafe, settle in. This is a conversation about reinvention, resilience, and the art of being unapologetically original. And also, you should know that Federico was close to Giorgio Armani because he works with the company, and he knew Giorgio for 30 years. I'm sure many of you know that Giorgio Armani did pass away recently, so Federico will reflect a little bit in the interview about Giorgio Armani also. So stay tuned for that. And we have Dr. Doinique Padurano, who's going to give us some back to school tips as well. And I just wanted to mention, I know we're doing back to school topics, as I keep mentioning, back to school, back to work topics. And as I've been mentioning also, I have been searching out products for back to school, back to work. The companies do send me products, but I will only recommend products that I love. So this week, there were 4 products that I thought were perfect. So Ziploc has a limited edition 48 quart bag size with grip and seal technology. So you want to check out those 48 quart bags. They're limited editions that they made for back to school. So check out. I don't know how long they're going to be available, but they're really cool. You can fit many things in them. They're 48 quart size, so they're great. And then there's toothbrush toys. They're toothbrushes for kids. They're actually like toys, so it's a great way to get kids to brush their teeth. And Virgin River has a great sunshine room spray that I just love. It's great for your dorm, your bedroom, any room in the house really. And lastly, Sue Missoura, which is spelled Sue, S-U, Missoura, M-I-S-S-U-R-A. They actually make clothing to your measurements. So I had the pleasure of receiving a pair of white jeans that were made to my measurements, and I had the pleasure of wearing them. And actually, if you go to my Instagram account, you'll see a reel with the white jeans that I got from Sue Missoura. So check out the Instagram reel and check out Sue Missoura. It's great. The jeans fit perfectly. They are made to measure, and it's a really easy way to get clothing made to your measurements without having to go out. You can do it all online. So check out Sue Missoura and stay tuned for those great interviews this week. And today, we're doing a lot of back to school topics. So all this month for September. And today, my special guest is Dr. Doinique Padurano, and her followers know her as Dr. P. So she's here to give us some tips. Actually, I think there are tips for parents for getting the kiddies ready, or your students ready for school, and just some things to check up on and do. So thank you so much for being here, Dr. P. And I know you you had some tips, initial tips I saw on some of your talking points, something about checking your kids' backpacks.
Yeah, so I was a high school teacher for many years, and one of, as I think most good teachers will check to make sure that students would do their homework.
Yes.
And the organized students would, have their little homework out on the desk. And then there's this one kid named Sam. And
Uh-huh.
Sam was such a sweet kid, but it would be like he would like dive into the depths of his backpack and pig pen on in Peanuts, all this stuff would be coming out of his backpack. So now that I'm, working as primarily a one-on-one consultant and I give talks and stuff, one of the big things that I recommend that parents do is check their students' backpack once a week. If you've got a neat kid, great. If you don't have a neat kid, literally dump everything out onto the table
Uh-huh.
and go through, throw out the trash, go
Mhm.
through any notices that might have come home or any, stray papers, file them,
Uh-huh.
and take a look also at the student's planner. Hopefully they're using a planner, and that kind of student also frequently misses deadlines.
Uh-huh.
And so make sure at least, I used to recommend doing this on Friday afternoon after school, for say middle and high school.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, for a younger student, you should be doing that daily.
Right, right. Yes, to get them in that habit. And I see you also had some tips you were recommending for their desk and workstation to kind of help them focus.
Yeah. So most of my students these days, even if they are not technically diagnosed with ADHD,
Uh-huh.
have focus problems because of this little distractor we all carry around with us called the phone.
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
so, one tip that I actually got from a student of mine who was diagnosed with ADHD, she told me that when she cleared visually her workspace and only saw sort of like a blank wall, like the blank wall you see behind me now,
Uh-huh.
she was able to focus in much better on her work.
Ah,
So I think that's really important. And then the other thing is for students who say are not as engaged,
uh-huh.
and maybe tend to maybe get sleepy, take a
Right.
nap when they're trying to do their homework, make sure that their computer, if it is that they're working on computers, which nowadays most of them are,
Yes.
at at or slightly above eye level.
Uh-huh.
Um, that's going to promote. I've learned this from Andrew Huberman, who's a health podcaster.
Uh-huh.
When our eyelids go down,
Uh-huh.
it's a signal to our central nervous system, it's time to fall asleep.
Oh,
But
there
when
you
our
go.
eyelids are physically up,
Uh-huh.
it's a it's a signal that
Keep
you have
going.
to be alert. So for example, my computer right now
Uh-huh.
is my camera's slightly above eye level,
Uh-huh.
and I bought this thing on Amazon that's about this high. And then I also tutor ACT and SAT, so I have a big test prep book on top of that in
Uh-huh.
order to lift my laptop up to the right height. So it might take a little work, but it
Right.
really is important to do.
Ah, that sounds like that really makes a difference. Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. That's a great tip. And what about scheduling? I noticed you had something there about scheduling.
Yeah. So again, lots of kids miss lots of deadlines.
Uh-huh.
And my overarching recommendation is that students get one of those old school big desk blotter month by month calendars. And in the beginning, the parents may need to do this if they're not, working with a tutor or someone like me, where they're writing down every month all of the non-negotiable times, which would be soccer practice, the orthodontist, visits on the weekend to grandma. And then literally putting the times, like say soccer, 4 to 7 p.m. And then you know the time that you have for homework. And then every night writing in, okay, this is when I think the time that I would need for homework. And then for older students, when they do have, say, a research paper that they're not going to finish it all in one night, they'll know, oh, well, I have 15 minutes this day. I can work on that. And I have a half hour that day, so that they're not leaving these big assignments to the night before, which stresses the kid out and stresses the whole family out.
Yes, yes, definitely. And lastly, what about, I saw you have something there on self-advocacy to build independence to build resilience in middle and high school students. How do we incorporate things to I guess encourage that,
Yeah, I think it's so important because right now, for example, I help students apply to college with college
right?
essays and things like that. And,
Yes.
I'm working with a couple of students whose moms are doing everything except writing the essays for them. They're, copying all their Common App questions onto a document and sending it to me. And they're things that
Oh,
I'm
wow.
asking the student to do, but the moms are doing it. And so I think, when they're, say, in sixth grade, give them little tasks so that they, go up. And for instance, it doesn't even have to be in school. My sister had a seventh grader last year, and the seventh grader was unhappy about not playing as much on the softball field. She was often on the bench. And my sister said to my niece, if you think you deserve to play more, you go to the coach and have that conversation, right? And it's doing these little things when they're in their early teens that make them able to do the bigger things when they're in their later teens.
Exactly. And I think that's a great way to get them to speak, know how to speak up for themselves. So that's great. Obviously, if it becomes more of a serious issue and the parent has to get involved, that's another thing. But I think that's a great idea so the kids can stick up for themselves. And oh my goodness, parents doing all their homework, that's really not a good thing.
Yeah,
Definitely not. No,
yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
Any last tips before we end the interview? We're almost out of time.
Just that, I know that back to school is a really anxious time for everyone involved.
Uh-huh.
I would say that, those parents that I mentioned that were maybe doing a little bit more than they should in the college process, they're
Right,
doing it out of love, but
right.
also out of anxiety. And I think the more that, I was telling someone that I feel like this year
Mhm.
I've seen the biggest anxiety jump
Uh,
among the parents of the class of 2026 than I've ever seen among parents before.
hmm.
I think if parents can get their own anxiety under control,
Uh-huh.
then their students will be better able to manage those challenges that will come ahead. I mean, not every kid will get into every college that they apply to, and that's okay. But
Right.
if their anxiety isn't up here
Hmm.
already, they can
Hmm.
handle it. And I think that the students really absorb a lot of that anxiety from the parents. And as the adults, parents should really try to get their own anxiety under control.
Exactly. Exactly. Great. All great tips. And excuse me, Dr. P, where can people find you? I think you have a website, right?
I do. The website is crimsoncoaching.com, and there's lots of free resources there, including a
Uh-huh.
blog.
Uh-huh.
But if they'd like to email me, I also have, I'm happy to offer a half-hour complimentary consultation to any of your listeners. Just
Uh-huh.
have them email me at info@crimsoncoaching.com.
Great. And we'll try to put this on the blog, the marieliberati.show.com for the this episode. Thanks so much for being here. Much success, and hopefully we will have you on again in the near future.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Maria.
Thanks. Discover the timeless secrets of Italian cuisine with the Basic Art of Italian Cooking series by Maria Liberati. That's me. From fragrant basil to silky olive oil, each page is a culinary masterpiece. Taste the passion, embrace the tradition, and create your own masterpieces in the kitchen with my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Buon appetito, and you can find the books on Amazon.com, Kindle, on marialiberati.com, and on the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where heritage meets innovation and every story is served with a side of elegance. Today, I am really fortunate and excited to be joined by a visionary who really redefined luxury in the digital age, Federico Marchetti, and he is the founder of YOOX Net-a-Porter, an author, and he's also known as the Geek of Chic. Federico, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Maria, for inviting me. Hello, everybody.
And I wanted to start off, as we talked about this, to mention the unfortunate passing of Giorgio Armani, because he wrote a foreword for your book, correct? And you just told me that was the only foreword he's ever written in his life?
Yes, absolutely. And I was last week in Milan.
Mm-hmm.
I flew from London to Milan for to be there with the family, with everybody, because I'm also in his board of directors since many years.
Yes.
I've been knowing him since 30 years, and there's been a kind of absolutely a mentor, a maestro for me. And he was so generous and so kind to write also the foreword for my book as he has never done it. So so obviously I'm very, very sad about his passing.
Really
But I'm sure that his legacy is super strong, and so everybody will remember Giorgio Armani forever.
I am sure he will live on in everything, all the wonderful things that he's done in the world. So your memoir, The Geek of Chic, it seems to be as much about reinvention as it is about fashion. What inspired you to tell your story now?
I mean, I decided to, first of all, I wrote the book in Italy, for Italy, in Italian.
Yes.
So it was 2 years ago, and he became unexpectedly a bestseller in Italy because the reason why I wrote it was to give courage to the young generation, and to basically to inspire them to be brave and to take risks, because without risks it would be impossible basically to be lucky. And obviously, given that the subtitle and also like the whole story is an American dream but Italian style, my goal was also to bring it to America, where I studied at Columbia Business School, where I worked for American companies before I started to be an entrepreneur. So, and obviously, like for me, America has always been my dream. And so I decided, first of all, to have the translation. And actually, the guy is a British and living in Italy, and is also like the one who translated the last book of Pope Franciscus. So he's a great writer. So I have to say that the English version is even sometimes better than the Italian one. And also like there are like a couple of chapters, and also especially the end that is very different from the Italian one, because obviously it's more updated. And I'm from Ravenna.
Yes.
Ravenna is a small town northeast of Italy, below Venice, by the Adriatic Sea. 1,500 years ago, it was the capital of the Roman Empire, but it was 1,500 years ago.
Years ago, yes.
And I left when I was 19 because I wanted to, I was an ambitious person, and I wanted to leave and to go to Milan, and then after Milan, London, and after London, New York, etc. And the end of the book is very fascinating because now I currently, after I sold my company, YOOX Net-a-Porter that you just mentioned, for a very good valuation of almost $6 billion, I decided to give back to the young generation and to the planet. And so I teamed up with the King Charles III, the King of
Yes.
England. I'm his personal consigliere. I sit on the board of many foundations, many charities. I run the fashion task force on his behalf. So I'm very busy for the King of England. And it's incredible that in the book, in the English version, the end, it's so magic because I left Ravenna when I was 19, and I was coming from a very humble family of white collars. I mean, like middle class, nothing more than that. And I came back in April, last April, with the king in Ravenna, and we watched the mosaics in the beautiful churches of Ravenna that, I mean, they're very famous around the world. So it looks like a kind of a circular path in my life. I left because I mean everybody was impressed that the king decided to pay the state visit to Italy. First, he went to Rome to meet the Italian president of the Republic, then the Pope before he died, Pope Franciscus.
Oh, yes.
And then he came to Ravenna, and so I was his host to bring him around the beautiful churches of Ravenna. So this part is very romantic, I would say, that it's the beginning and the end of the book.
The book, yes. And I have to mention, I was in Ravenna not too long ago. It's a beautiful city. Not a lot of people don't know about it, but it's such a beautiful city. I loved it. Yes, I loved Ravenna.
Yeah, it's a kind of a hidden gem. So you need to decide to go there. But believe me, after the visit of the king, which I'm very proud of, the tourism has skyrocketed from Commonwealth, from England, from everywhere, plus 20-30% compared to last year. So I mean, now like all the people from Ravenna, they're very happy that I mean they have much more tourists than before.
Yes, I'm sure. And I believe, isn't Dante Alighieri, is he buried there? Yes. That was kind of a hidden thing, right? Because his body, they were looking for it. And yes, so I do remember that. But I remember bicycling through this beautiful park in Ravenna, because I was there kind of for part vacation, part business. And it was just so beautiful. Really beautiful.
The Dante's tomb is in Ravenna.
Yes.
I mean, obviously the Florentine people they want him back, but they exiled him. So like he left Florence because he was exiled, and he came to Ravenna where he finished the Divine Comedy. And also Lord Byron spent a lot of time in Ravenna. So it's a beautiful cultural city, full of mosaics, full of beautiful monuments, but very small. And that's why I decided to leave.
I was just going to ask you, do you feel that Ravenna influenced you in some way in your career? Is there anything you took away that what would you say?
Absolutely. I would say that the influence that I had as a small guy, as a teenager growing in Ravenna, was definitely because I was surrounded by beauty. I was surrounded by all these mosaics. And in the end, what I did with YOOX, that was my first, let's say, e-commerce. Actually, it was the first e-commerce in the world to bring fashion online. And that's why the New York Times calls me the man who put fashion on the net. So I have this responsibility because I started in 99, and before anybody else, I was the first.
Yes.
And you remember, in 99, it's not like now that everybody can buy fashion online. 99, there was nothing. So there was no Instagram, there was no Facebook, no Google, no Amazon was selling just books in America. There was no Wikipedia. There was nothing.
No.
And so I was definitely ahead of time for that. And then I bought Net-a-Porter, and then I created YOOX Net-a-Porter Group, which became the leader in the world. And then I sold it. And all my strategy, all my vision in my company has always been influenced by beauty and this mix between American innovation, so like technology, algorithm, AI, etc., but with a an Italian touch with Italian style, which means culture, aesthetics, design, form and function. Basically, I try to balance form and function, as in the end Steve Jobs did a long time ago with Apple now, because like in the end that's the difference between other computers, because they look good, they look beautiful. And
Yes.
nobody knows, or very few people know, that Steve Jobs got his inspiration coming to Italy, and from the architect that was designing the typewriter for Olivetti. And Olivetti was an Italian company. So basically, he wanted to hire the architect, that he didn't go to Cupertino. But when he came back, basically, he said that this company making typewriters and also the first personal computer is a merging form with function. So it's working very well, but it's also beautiful. And so I can say that there is a little percentage of Apple that is Italian in this way.
Italian. But many companies, actually, Starbucks, for instance, the person that started Starbucks got his inspiration from Milan. And there are many companies that actually did get their inspiration from Italy, probably like Apple, that many people don't realize. So there's a lot of very inspiration there, with all the beauty and the culture, right?
Yeah, and my book is all about this mix now between America and Italy. It's a memoir, it's a business memoir. It's not a manual, so it's not a business manual. But everybody can read among the lines the advice for themselves, and it's full of anecdotes.
Right.
From meeting with these tech giants, from Bill Gates, having dinner with Bill Gates, to
Yes.
Fashion people, like having a party or inviting Anna Wintour for a cappuccino in my home.
Yes.
Obviously, King Charles. Obviously, a lot about Giorgio Armani, because in 30 years I've done so much with him, and I had so much respect for him. So it's also like it's a fun book. It's not only like this heavy auto promotional book, because I sold my
Exactly.
company, so
So
I
it's not
didn't have to
just for
promote my
somebody
company.
that, it's not just a business book, it's also a fun book, right? That's what it sounds like,
Yes.
fun and very interesting. So you said the American dream meant freedom and speed to you. How did you balance that with Italy's more slower artisanal rhythm? The American. I know
Yeah.
when I lived in Italy, I lived in Italy for some time, and then when I would come back to the US, it was so hard getting back into the rhythm of the US, right? So
Yeah, definitely the US is much faster, and
yes.
I agree with you. But the name that I've invented for my first company, YOOX, which is YOOX,
Yes.
has been the inspiration also for all my vision and my strategy, because Y and X are the chromosomes of men and women. So Y and X, etc. No, and
Yes.
the OO, which is also the zero, is the DNA of the binary code. So like,
Yes.
basically, it's a human and machine together. So which is like human with the Italian part, and the machine is like all the innovation coming from America. And I for all my 20 years at YOOX Net-a-Porter that I spent there as a CEO, that I obviously I tell the story. I tell also the story, the very difficult story of buying Net-a-Porter, that was my biggest competitor based in the UK. The old story is based on finding this balance between craftsmanship and beauty, together with innovation and together with speed. So how to come up with a warm technology rather than a cold technology, how to come up with something that is not a white grid like Amazon with all the products, but an experience for the customers, with beautiful projects, with fun projects, with surprising the customers every day, merging young designers with big brands, vintage. Imagine that I launched the vintage in 2001 with the help of Holly Brubeck, that she was the style editor of the New York Times and the great curator of fashion and the great
Yes.
American author.
Yes.
And so this mix was basically a mix between retailing and entertainment, and that's why I came up with the word of entertainer. So basically, YOOX Net-a-Porter was an entertainer, so trying to entertain the customers and also obviously like showing the products in the best way in order to convince the customers to buy them.
Yes, that's really innovative. That was a great idea. So you've met a lot of these, like we mentioned, Anna Wintour and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates. And is there any lesson that you learned from those encounters that kind of stuck with you? With
I mean,
any
Jeff
one of
Bezos,
those?
yeah. No, I mean, everybody, no, obviously, like I learned something from everybody.
Yes.
And Jeff Bezos tried to buy my company in 2009.
Uh-huh.
And then I declined his offer, and I took it public in the same year because I mean the YOOX Net-a-Porter was a public company before it was sold to Richemont, the parent company of Cartier.
Yes.
And I mean, from all of them, you know, from Bill Gates, very humble that I met at his dinner on the West Coast at his home. Jeff Bezos, I mean, definitely ruthless in his ideas. Anna Winter, I mean, so much powerful in the fashion world, still in the fashion world, so much power she's showing. So from all of them, I've learned something. But to tell you the truth, the person who I've learned the most is Giorgio Armani. Definitely because I spent much more time with him, but also because he inspired completely my career and my professional path, because I knew him before I started to be an entrepreneur. And for me, he represented the only one that he was merging the creativity with entrepreneurship. So only in one brain. So the left part with the right part in one brain, because everybody else that still now they have the creative director and the CEO.
Yes.
He was a CEO and creative director at the same time. And I tried to do, I mean, obviously I was not designing clothes as Mr. Armani, but I tried to instill this creativity in my project, in my company, and still now working with King Charles, I use my creativity and my innovation to come up with something that is new and is also trying to change the planet. Because, for example, the fashion task force that I run on behalf of King Charles III, which is a completely action-oriented task force. So no blah, 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 only action, because I'm an entrepreneur in my heart. And so I love action.
Yes.
We have already implemented amazing innovative projects, like, for example, the digital passport for the brands that are members of the task force. So if you go to a shop in Paris of Chloé, just to mention one, in the boutique of Chloé, you will basically, with your smartphone, you will put it together with bags, accessories, ready to wear, and you will see where this item is coming from, what are the materials, what are the social conditions of the workers, if is it really sustainable or not sustainable, how can you recycle it, how can you resell it. So all of this was coming from my, let's say, innovation spirit. And so I'm still trying to come up with new ideas all the time.
Yes, and I was just going to ask you if you thought luxury and sustainability can truly coexist, but it sounds like you're making it coexist just by doing that digital passport that you just spoke about, right?
Yeah, the digital passport, a lot of, for example, with Brunello Cucinelli, we have launched together a project to do regenerative organic cashmere on the Himalayas. and he's part of my task force. And also this project is doing amazingly well, because I mean soon we'll have the scarves made by the organic cashmere in the Himalayas in the shops. So yeah, I think luxury and sustainability can coexist a lot. I think it will be a little bit more difficult for fast fashion to coexist with sustainability. But my dream is that once all the luxury brands, the most famous brands from Cucinelli to Armani to Burberry to all of them, I mean Prada, who is part of my task force as well, they're gonna be so sustainable and so transparent for the supply chain, etc. I think the customers will require the same level of transparency and let's say sustainability also from all the brands.
Everyone,
and so I think there will be a kind of a spillover effect.
Spillover, yes.
Yeah, and so I think it will take some time, but we're getting there thanks to innovation, because I mean you need to come up with innovative projects in order to accelerate the path to sustainability. Otherwise, if we are always the same and we continue to do the same thing, it will be difficult to change. As Albert Einstein said a long time ago, he said if you want a change, you need really to change the paradigm. And in order to change the paradigm, probably you need innovation.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So I wanted to ask you, because a lot of my topics this month, since everyone is starting back to school in September, we're doing a lot of back to school topics. So I wanted to ask you if you could give one piece of advice to a young creative that's trying to merge art and tech, what would it be? You know, there's actually a lot of really talented students out there. And what kind of any advice that you would give them?
I mean, in the book, I give a lot of advice to especially to the young generation. But if I have to distill only one or two, I would say that first of all, don't follow the masses. So be the first to invent something, because if you are the second, it's always too late. So I enjoyed a first competitive advantage with my company YOOX for many years before all the competitors came in and they made such a mature market. And it's very important basically not to copy anybody, but always to invent and to be innovative. And second, I think that the most important thing is you need to be brave. You need to take risks, because as the late teens used to say 2,000 years ago, if you don't take risk, you cannot be lucky, and it's impossible. So I think that you need courage, and sometimes you fail, but then you start again, and probably you learn a lot from your failures. So I think these are probably the two most important advice that you will understand also by reading my book. I've been very lucky. I took so many risks. Most of them went well, not all of them. So I made also big mistakes, and I tell about the mistakes in my book. So because it's important also to be honest and to say where it didn't go well. But overall, I've been very lucky, and I feel that I needed to be thankful and grateful, and that's why now I'm trying to give back to the people, to the planet, because I think that sometimes you need to give back your luck.
Exactly. And lastly, I was just going to ask you, is there anything that you hope the readers and the listeners to this or take away from your book, The Geek of Chic? Is there anything you hope they take away from that? They get inspired by that?
Yeah, I think another thing that you will understand from the book, that sometimes life has so many sliding doors and so many magic moments. No, I mean, because frankly, I didn't know at 19 that I was going back to my hometown with the King of England. And in order to get there, I had so many sliding doors, and sometimes you need to take life also with this thinking that there's something magic in it, and it's not only you cannot plan everything ahead, but sometimes you need to find yourself and swim with the flow and find yourself in these situations, and obviously take advantage sometimes of this situation because you have taken risks.
Exactly. That's great. Federico, where can people find the Geek of Chic? Can they find it anywhere online?
They can find it on Amazon, they can find it on Barnes & Noble, and they can find it starting from the 9th of September, also in the best bookstores around America.
Okay, and we'll put a link on the marialiberati.show.com blog. And
thank you so much.
Oh, definitely. And you have your own website, I think, also, right? Do you have your own website? I'm sure you do.
I have my website. Yeah.
So
I have my
people can
website.
just look up Federico Marchetti.
Yeah, it's www.Federico, which is not Federico, because in America many times people call me Federico, but it's Federico, Federico, Marchetti.com. And also there are all the images of with Mr. Armani, with the King. It's a kind of archive of my life, and from the website also you can buy, and you can go on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I could stay here and talk to you all day. It's so amazing, so really exciting. Thank you so much for being here, and much success. And hopefully we'll have you back in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show, and thanks to my special guest this week, and as always, my producer, Britton Roselle. And you can find me at marialiberati.com, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Twitter or X at Maria Liberati. On Vimeo, you can find videos at Maria Liberati. Our YouTube channel is just called The Maria Liberati Show, and the blog for The Maria Liberati Show is at themarialiberatishow.com. On Facebook, you can find me at Chef Maria Liberati, and you can find my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, on artoflivingprimamedia.com. That's the publisher's website, or Amazon, Kindle, barnesandnoble.com, and Amazon and Kindle have recently released audiobook versions of my books, so you can even get audiobooks there. And until next week, peace, love, and pasta.